Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Organic Guy podcast. This is your home of organic conversations. I'm your host, the Organic Guy, and today I have a fancy guest for you. Probably you've seen him, you've heard him, you've definitely heard some of his melodies. He's a quarter of the Sauti Sol, our very own and internationally recognized group. So for me, it's a pleasure to have you on, and thank you very much for making time for the pod.
Thank you for having me, bro.
So I think there's so many places to start, but personally, I am a huge believer that how you grow up usually shapes who you become later in life. So I want for you to take us through a little bit of your early childhood. Like, where did you grow up? How was the environment like? Who are you in terms of personality? Were you talkative? Were you sort of an introvert? So what was going on there?
I was born in Sivo, Savan, Sivo. I don't know if you guys know Sivo. Just before Dandora. And then when I was 4, we moved just, I guess, up the road to Kariobangi South. It's a walking distance. And growing up there, honestly, I always say my childhood was one of my happiest times in life. It was so much joy. You know, as a child, you don't know whatever your environment is what you really thrive in. So as much as we may not have had everything in quotes, whatever everything is, I never saw it that way. So I grew up in a very loving home, a lot of community within the environment that I grew up in the estate. Went to school in now to Civil Servants again. So I used to now walk from Kariobangi South back to where I used to live before I got 4 years old. Went to primary school, a school called Day Spring Junior. And high school now, I was an how do I call it? I was an A student, for lack of a better word. Was really good in academics. Actually, I remember I was index 1 in primary school. And that now got me a call to Strathmore High School. So I went to Strathmore, even though my parents really could not afford the fees for the school. My dad really wanted what he knew. He thought that, and he believed that was what was best for me, is to go to Strathmore. Passed the interview. So Strathmore have this thing where you go they don't check your KCSE results. So you actually do an interview. It's kind of like an IQ test in a way. And it was very interesting coming from the hood and going to a school uptown, that is Strathmore. So it was quite a culture shock, for lack of a better word. Seeing
the stories are different.
Completely different. I think we're probably only 5 of us from the Eastlands area, and everyone else was from these other sides. So it was very interesting. Really grew a lot in high school as a person. And it was very interesting even how people looked at me back home, knowing that Strathmore was that kind of school. And, they're like, hey, one of us is going to Strathmore. That's very interesting. And I grew up loving, doing a lot of music also, before it was scrapped off the syllabus. But I grew up really loving music. It was my favorite subject, actually. Loved playing a lot of sports, basketball, football in the estate. I used to also draw and paint a lot at home. And all this, of course, is without social media. So, so there's a lot of time to do so many things and just be innovative and creative and just let your young mind, just wander and, go wild and just do as much as you possibly can think of. So I'm really grateful for that. I really, really love. Once in a while, I even drive that side because none of my friends are still there. My whole family is out of there. But I usually just go for a drive secretly, and just go. I just absorb the whole feeling of having grown up there and that place having shaped me, the person that I am today. So I'm really thankful and grateful for my upbringing.
You quite literally say you're an A student. So, and you back that up with your KCSE results. You actually got is it an A minus?
A minus, yeah. I think it was 3 points short of A, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, very impressive. That's top less than 1%. I think the results they just released for last year, it's less than 1% have A and A minuses. So you are like the top.
Yeah, but does it really matter? Really, at the end of the day, I don't know. That's a question we all.
That's interesting to see. Like the guys who got A's, where are they now? That would be a good documentary to follow up.
Yeah, because you know when you're that age and you're in that time in your life, it feels like that's everything revolves around that. It's like it's the almost the end of the world or the beginning of something great. You know, you look at your other friends like, oh, you got an A, I got a C, and you feel like the world is ending. You know, and now when you look back, you're like, was it really that serious? Yeah. It doesn't matter that much eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's also interesting to know like music was part of who you are at that very early age. Yeah. So it sort of validates my theory as well. Like how you grew up, sort of.
Shapes who you. Oh yeah, 100%. And even with music, aside from it being my favorite subject, I grew up in a very. It's not even a musical home, but a music loving home. So my dad was a really ardent music lover and used to collect a lot of music from all Lingala stuff, a lot of Ohangla music. I just grew up like, and even on TV, whether there were award shows, those days, Kora Awards, we used to sit down as a family and just wait until, I remember it was like 11 p.m. or midnight. It used to go till 1. And those were things that my dad let me watch. That and sports, like he was always, even if I have school tomorrow, you know, he would be like, yeah, because he also loved it. And he saw how much I also had a lot of interest in those two things in particular. You know, he would once in a while just let me go on until 2 a.m. just to watch a music concert. Even Lucky Dube concerts used to come a lot on TV. I remember in the middle of the night. So that really shaped who I am musically as well.
So take us through a little bit into now like meeting Sauti Sol, because you sort of, okay, you've finished your high school, you've got your results, and you went to study actuarial science, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and that's like a pure
Pure math. Deep math.
And you finished it, right?
Yes, I did. With many obstacles on the way, but I did manage.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most impressive things you can be proud of, finishing your degree from a public school.
Yes.
Most guys usually never do that. So that's also impressive as well. Yeah. So is it before or after you met with Sauti Sol?
So let me just take you the story properly. So high school, remember I told you I was called to Strathmore before getting my KCP results. But now after I got my KCP results, I ended up being called to Upper Hill. So I already had two options, and my dad said, okay, I really want you to go to Strathmore. So it seems like destiny was already written, because I was meant to go to Upper Hill anyway, and that's where my other bandmates were. So it was like what do you call it? The meeting was a bit, pushed forward. Yeah, it was meant to be anyway. So after high school, I accidentally bumped into BN in town. And those days, man, there were no people. You never used to carry guitars. The Gen Zs, well, we are millennials, but the young people of those days, being us, it was very rare to see someone carrying an instrument. So when you notice someone, you're like, hey, what's that guy carrying? That guy's like me, or you just want to have a conversation. Yeah. So we didn't instantly speak. We bumped into each other in a music store, and we just glanced at each other. And I kid you not, 30 minutes later, we actually were going to the same auditions at Alliance Francaise for the auditioning. They were doing auditions for their Christmas band. So they used to have a Christmas band every end of the year, and they'd called out for auditions, and the two of us happened to be there together. And already having been familiar, 30 minutes ago, we saw each other. So we already hit it. We started talking and stuff. And then he told me, by the way, I'm going to the park to just play with my friends. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. He asked me, you want to join us? I was like, yeah, cool. So we just hit it. And then went to the park, Uhuru Park, and under this big tree, Chimano and Savara were seated under the tree, waiting for Bien at that time. And then I happened to be there with him, and and Bien said, "It's like, okay, guys, this is Polycarp, and he's a new member of the band now." It's like, okay. And then we just started playing, and they used to be in a music group in high school that had, I think, 2 or 3 other people who, funny enough, were not present on that day. So it was just the 4 of us as you know us today from that day. And we started writing music immediately. I'd only played guitar for 3-4 months up to that time, by the time I met the rest of the boys. So my music knowledge wasn't as much as I had a lot of, subconsciously I had consumed a lot of music. Music was one of my favorite subjects. I hadn't gotten a place to really learn instruments, especially where I grew up from. There isn't, my parents could not afford to take me to a music school or have a music teacher or anything like that. So I had picked up the guitar. I went to All Saints Cathedral. They were offering free lessons. And I showed up, and that was 4 months in. So we started the band then.
This is in 2006?
Actually, you're right, 2006. End of 2006.
Yeah, so next year is like 20 years.
Yep.
It's been quite a journey, given the amount of bangers you've given us throughout that time. So, yeah, I really appreciate it. And so take us through like your guitaring kind of journey. So you say like you guys met 4 months, you've only been playing the guitar. And so those guys were desperate for like a guitarist guy, or you were just too good, you're like, you know what, come in.
I mean, I don't think it was even about, because honestly, I always say that band is destiny. It wasn't even necessarily about how good anyone was. It was just we were meant to be. That's how I see it.
The vibe was just through the roof.
The vibe was there. The universe it was already written in the books. This is how you guys are going to be. Because 4 months of playing is basic. It's really basic. But yeah, my guitar journey really started kind of in high school. There were nuances of it in high school. So in high school, Strathmore, of course, there was no music also. But we were in music festivals, even though I was not in the choir. I was too shy to audition, actually, for the choir. Even though I could sing, I was just like, maybe that's not my thing. And in high school, I just grew this love for the guitar. Was just very, I couldn't resist it. It was just there, very strong. And after high school now is when I went to Alliance Française to do French. As like that, that gap year where you're waiting to be called to university. And that year, honestly, is what made me who I am this year. This now, at this very moment. Yes, so that year, I just took up things to just try, So I was like, I used to do French in high school. I was like, let me go further my French studies at Alliance. Did a diploma at Alliance. And Alliance Française was also an art center, so a lot of musicians were there. And one of my former schoolmates we were in the same class with him also at Alliance Française. And then he told me there's these music lessons that are being offered for free at All Saints Cathedral, because they're trying to nurture this new crop of talent that will eventually play in the church. So I was like, yeah, cool, let me go. So I didn't really, initially I did not think the guitar was the instrument that I wanted to pick. As much as I really love music. So it was a guitar and piano, it was one of those two. And percussions, I used to play a lot of percussions as well. So when you go to the auditions, not auditions, the classes now, All Saints, so we are, I think, about 20-something young boys and girls. And we get into this room, and there's drums, there's keyboards, I think 2 keyboards, and there's 1 guitar and 1 bass guitar. 1 acoustic, 1 bass. So after the teacher gave us an introduction of everything, and he was like, I'd like everyone to just go to the instrument they'd like to learn. Everyone rushed to every other instrument except the guitar. it's crazy. And I'm not those people who like quickly rush into something. So like I'm just those people who just take time to just see and gauge. And I was like, I don't want to be crowded with all these other guys. So let me go to this instrument that has been calling me anyway, and no one seems to want to play it. I guess maybe the guitar it's a difficult instrument to learn. It's not easy. So I went, and that's what pulled me, and I started learning the guitar. And then 4 months later, I met the rest of the boys, and it's just been a journey since then. And then now I later on discovered that the lineage of guitarists has been there in my family. So my grandfather, that's my mom's dad, was a touring guitarist. Was a Benga guitarist, actually. I met him, but I was too young. He died when I was, I think, 3 or 4. So I didn't meet him. I didn't see him. But that's I think that's where it comes from.
Gave you all those blessings. Okay. Nice. And I think I was watching your Engage talk. Yes. You gave a really good story about the guitar, your love story between and Cecilia, I think. The guitar. It was quite insightful and inspirational. It was really, really well done. So take us through Sauti Sol. So you guys sort of now announced, is it like a break?
Hiatus, as we call it.
What is it all about?
There's so many things around it. We've been together for 20 years, right? And that's a pretty long time. We've even, I think, and half of our careers, we've actually lived in the same house. People don't even know that. We've lived together. So we put everything, all our, just everything that we had as individuals, we put in the band. All our adult life. So we don't know anything but Sauti Sol as adults, even now. And it was just a natural progression to get to where we are now in terms of taking this break. It was more of a conscious decision than anything else, and it's something that was building. We even spoke about it, I think, the first time we really spoke about it was around 2018, when we said, it would be great to one day just everyone just goes and does their own thing for a while, either take a break, do whatever it is that you want. And it's just needed. It was just a natural progression. So as I said, we live together. So we put everything in it. And as you're growing as men, you get to learn who you are. Because when you're in a band, you sometimes, in a way, sacrifice who you are and your needs as an individual for the betterment of the band. Which people won't understand, of course. And and during COVID, when we did our album Midnight Train, it came out in 2020, smack in the middle of COVID. And even as we did that album, we knew it was going to be one of our last. So we would really give it our all. And eventually, we got to a point where we were like, we guess this is the right time. We're at the right age. We are mature enough also to be able to do this in a way that is mature, I guess. We actually went through therapy together, to make sure there's a lot that went into it, because we are best of friends, and it's a bond that's honestly unbreakable. Like, imagine all your adult life, bro. You know how to hustle with 3 other men. You don't know any other way of life. So the bond is very strong. That's why it was very difficult for us to really even make the decision, but it was for the betterment of us as individuals, for the betterment of the brand itself, Sauti Sol. Because when statistically, the brand has significantly grown even bigger after the hiatus, which is very interesting in terms of how it's perceived. So we just needed to really explore our individualism and just know exactly who you are as an individual. And that also makes the brand even stronger. When you come back, you really are sure of who you are, as a man, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's nice. And I think yours was done really well from like a brand perspective, because we've seen other bands actually break up, the One Directions, and it's usually messy in terms of how that one ends. So yours was like, we are bros, and it's sort of a haters, which is an interesting word.
We started with Alone together, because there was a period where we were doing our solo things, but we were still in the band, like for 3 years. 2021, I think, 21 for 2 years. And then now after that, we're like, okay, we can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Let's make the decision to just really do our own things properly. But we're still doing stuff together because we have a lot of businesses together.
Yeah, that's nice. So let's talk a little bit about some of your projects, and there are many of them. I think it's fair to say you're a man of many talents. Yeah. So, I mean, one of your project that you did was the album Father Studies. Yeah, one of my favorite songs is with Nyashinsky, Under Pressure. Yeah. And there's also another one, How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, so it's a really cool album. So take us through like the naming of the album, like what was the thinking behind it?
Ooh, so the album is, I think the most personal thing I've ever done in my life, to be honest. The most heartfelt project I've ever done. So during the period when we were doing the Alone Together thing and just trying to find our own footing as individuals, at that time my son had just been born. So it was, I think, 6 months. And it was COVID time. So we were scheduled, because of me in a train and we were signed to Universal, we were scheduled to really like travel, like our calendar was going to be absolutely mad in 2020. And then boom, the universe said, no, it's not happening. So that meant that I was really, really home. Like I had no choice. And at a time when my son was born. So I absolutely loved it. I think even for me, I'd say I'm one of those people who says COVID was one of the best times of my life, 100%. I was present, mentally, physically, I was there. And that being present just put me in a very different world that I've never been in. So my world was just revolving around fatherhood. So when you're making music is an extension, an expression of who you are. So there was nothing else I could think of to sing about rather than fatherhood and my son. So that's where the whole album was coined from. In the spirit of dad jokes and puns, that's where the name came from, Father Studies. So it's just a play of words. Because I remember I told my team and my band members that I'm gonna go on a leave, paternity leave, and it may be indefinite, not indefinite. It may be just very long. Because usually, I guess the law, I don't know what the law says for paternity leave. Is it 1 month or something? Maternity is longer. You as a father, I think, is much, much shorter, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's way too short. So it's like, how do you expect the fathers to be present in their kids' lives? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So thank God it's my business, so I am able to to make the rules. So the Father Studies was a wordplay of just me going away to just immerse myself in this fatherhood, and father is actually father as Father, and Father Studies. So that's where the name came from. Yeah, and the whole album was initially I didn't want to sing actually in the album. And I wrote the songs. My idea was to give it to other singers. Of course, my bandmates, give it to Bensoul, give it to just other people. Yeah. And when I presented it to them, they're like, bruh, you already, because I did demos, because I'm a producer. So I just, in my house, I was set up, do the demos. And when I presented it to them, I'm like, we think you just need to pick this up yourself and do it, because already you sound really good. Number two, it's very personal to who you are, because you're singing it to your son. And I was like, yeah, I guess you guys are right. So that's how the album came about. And it was a wholesome project, because it wasn't just about the music. Also, the music, every song in the album is attached to a story. And the story is written as kids' content. So kids' books. So I started writing kids' books as well, because also I realized there was a humongous gap when it came to content that's Pan-African, that's for African kids. It's still a big problem even now. And quality as well, because I realized kids just are drawn also to quality. Yeah. So some of even the parents themselves. So you can have something that's African, that's great, but the quality is not good. Yeah, they just be drawn to just something else that just looks appealing, because kids are they're visual.
Yeah.
So they want to see things that, excite them and arouse their minds, their imagination. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's the first time you introduced your kid in the in the album, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that made it a little bit more personal as well. So take us through then your fatherhood journey. Then, like, how is it? How is it being father for the first time? Like, what are some of the lessons you've seen through it?
Oh man, fatherhood. it's is there even one word for it? It's quite intense. It brings the best and the worst out of you.
I didn't expect the worst part.
Yes, the worst. When I say the worst, what I mean is there's something about parenthood that, of course, changes you. Like there's no other way. And especially if you're really conscious and present, you will feel the big difference in you. So you see a lot of yourself in your child. They literally leave you bare, completely bare. They taste your emotions. They give you the happiest emotions, and also may sometimes give you. And it's not them that are giving that; it's the environment within. Either they bring out something about you that you never wanted to face, or you never liked about yourself, and it's quite intense. It leaves you completely bare, and it's a kind of love that you can't explain, man. It's the most intense, the most fulfilling kind of love that you'll ever experience. And you can only know once you experience it. I can't even explain to someone who's not a father what it means to be a father, And just seeing how important the role of a dad is in kids. Because when we are really present and there, man, the child just really flourishes, man. It's And that for me is something that I've really learned. And just also coining that relationship from because we kind of have a tendency of letting the mother do a lot of work, especially the early years, from 0 till maybe 5. And then now you step in, now you're like, okay, now I'm here, I'm present. But I realize that the bond that you make from the early ages as a father, because you also remember you have to do extra work. This child already has a bond with the mom. For 9 months, they have a bond that's unbreakable. They're coming out of the womb to you and like, hey, who is this guy? Who's this guy who is always here with my mom, was just saying. So you have to coin the relationship from scratch. You have to make the effort. If you don't make the effort, then it's just gone. And that gap 0 to 5, honestly, is the most important. The most important. Once you build that foundation, after that it's cruising as a dad, and that's the toughest part also.
Someone said that they can't be taught, like you have to experience them yourself for you to actually know what fatherhood is. So what I'm trying to get, what has been like the most surprising thing about being a father?
Most surprising? What's the most surprising thing about being a father? I'm a first-time father, so everything is surprising. Everything is.
So is it the work that it takes to? You say like the age between 0 and 5 is the most important.
So I think one of the most surprising thing is how you may feel like your work or your effort in trying to be present is not worthy, or is not really showing. There's no results. Sometimes you may feel that because it's such a lengthy period of time, and eventually when it hits you and you're like, there's just beautiful moments now when you come back home, and I have this every time. I drive back home in the evening, let's say, and my son sprints out of the house running, Daddy, shouting. That is the best feeling ever, man. The best feeling ever. So that's one thing that I think once it hits you, it honestly surprises you. Like, oh, so it's been working. It's been working. But I'd say, I don't know, everything is surprising with fatherhood. Everything. And I'm still, my son is only 4 years old. So imagine that's only 4 years, So you're this person's father forever. I don't know what what is ahead of me, and just going day by day, and also just how quickly these kids grow. It's crazy. It's intense. The environment also that they are around really influences them. And why I say it's very important for you to be present, as both parents, of course, is eventually you realize that as much as you put in so much effort, unfortunately, sometimes it may only be 20 or 30% of the influence that this kid has in general. Remember, if they're going to school, they're in school I drop my son to school at 8:30, pick him up at 3.
He's already going to school at 4 years old.
So he's been going to play group. School nowadays is kindergarten. It's not really school. Yeah, but it's still very important for the foundational growth. And you realize that they spend, and this is most of the year, this is maybe 80% of the year, they're in school the whole day, almost the whole day, with other people. You have no influence whatsoever. They come back home, they're playing with other kids, they're interacting with other people in the house, the nanny, everything. So your contribution is if you put everything together, it's actually small, but it's the most impactful still, if you actually put in the effort that you need to put in. So once you realize that, you're like, there's some things that you have to teach this child that they may not be taught outside there. Because as you say, charity does begin at home. So that there are all these foundational thoughts and beliefs and principles of life, they have to come from you. You can't delegate them, so that when they go to church, when they go to school, when they're in the estate, they have these values that you've instilled in them, as much as that effort or that contribution is 20%.
And thanks for being open about these things, because mabachela kama sisi, your advice that tunaisikiza mapema, and then we see what we can do, and we get there.
But it's the most beautiful feeling. Also, you learn more compassion, you have more patience, you develop into this other human being that is just more caring, more understanding, more hardworking,
And some of the, your very interesting project, at least you did, was the Kudade song.
The accident, I call it an accident.
Or is it an accident? Because it was like an anthem for, especially during the...
Mandaman.
The Mandaman that reject Finance Bill 2024. How did it come back?
So I went to visit Black Market Records last year. So this is now me trying to just do stuff for myself, having been the producer of my band for all these years. I just wanted to explore and work with other people and just see how that is. So I just wanted to work with anyone and everyone and just, try stuff. So I remember going to Black Market Records. I think I was wearing this shirt, actually, now that I remember. Interesting you ask it about it. And I went there, and I just wanted to make stuff. We just started jamming and stuff. So there's a track that I had done 2 years ago that was meant to be in my Love Language album. It was one of the tracks that I'd done, one of the first tracks that I had done. And there was something, sometimes you make stuff, not necessarily to even release. It's more to release what's inside you, to just put it out, to just lay it down, and we'll see where this goes. Because you can't keep it inside. You just have to release. And when I did it, there was just something about it. It was completely different from what you guys hear. And I just knew there's something about this track. There's a spirit about it that I don't know what it is. I felt like I had not brought it out properly. And I just put it aside. Because sometimes you may feel like a song is old to you, or a track is old to you because you've been with it for so long that in your head you're like, it's done. But it's not. Nobody has heard it. So I played that track that I did because I remember I was like, this would be nice on a nice Kenyan. It just sounds really soulful Kenyan something. And I just played it like this. And the video that trended, that you see us in the studio, I'm seated there by the desk, and these kids are just jamming. That was a freestyle. That was not. We had not recorded it, and then we were jamming to it. So when I played the track, they just started singing Kudade. So they just, I think, recorded the other version, because there are two versions. Mine is a remix. So they just recorded the original version, I think, maybe a week prior. So it was fresh in their minds. And then Furthermore just started singing that song, or his part, on the track now that I have played that I had done 2.5 years ago. And that now is the birth of Kudade as you know it. Because now I didn't even think much of that video. I just posted it. I remember at midnight even. Posted at midnight. And I wake up I was working, I was in studio. So I wake up the next day maybe at 9 a.m. or something. I have breakfast. I didn't even go online. And then by noon, I go and I'm like, my phone is blowing up. What is happening? And it's because sometimes, man, the most beautiful work in music is unplanned. It's just you expressing yourself with no thoughts of this is going to be a hit or this is going to be this. There's so much beautiful, so it carries just a beautiful soul with it. And that's how the song was born.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I think it reflects like the larger part in life. Because even me, generally as a creative, there's some things you do, you're sure this is going to be a hit. I've done some podcasts. I'm like, this is one of the best conversations. It's going to go viral. But then the unexpected ones actually that do well. So the creative process, it's a bit strange because you cannot like control it. Like this is it, and this is what's going to happen. So I think that's also the interesting part of being a creative.
And the most exciting part, to be honest. It's very exciting. I love going into creativity, not knowing where I'm going to land, later on. And that's the excitement of all of it. It's just to create for the love of it more than anything else.
So this is a part that I'm always fascinated by, especially in music. So let's say you have this track called like Kudade. So like what is the process that goes through to actually for us to get the final products? So let's say, for example, you have a song, you've already written the lyrics. Like how do you know this person is going to be the perfect fit for this verse? Or how do you get the right beats for the song? Like what is that creative process like?
You have to follow your intuition more than anything. And it's like a sweet, delicate balance between following intuition and actually thinking of it the business way as well. Because it is my job, so the business aspect has to be around as well. But I'd say probably 70% intuition, 30% business. And once you write a song, once you start working on a song, producing, you just kind of know. It flows. It calls for it. It's like, this one would be nice if I do this. It just you put pieces together, and again, let the universe do the work. That's what I always say. It always comes. Sometimes you also get stuck. It's not always, rosy all the time. Sometimes you get to a point where you're like, I don't know how to move from here. I'm stuck. And you just let it. The same with Kudade was that. I was stuck. With that track, I was like, but I know its time is going to come. Once you let go, the letting go always brings all the beautiful things to you. So that's my creative process. And I guess it's different for everyone. I wouldn't say it's the same for everybody, but for me, it's just letting my intuition do the work, letting the universe do the work, and everything all pieces come together. Sooner or later, it always happens, as long as you're putting your soul to it, as long as you're putting your love to it, your heart to it, it always goes to someone else's heart, someone else's soul. It always connects.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess that's why like everybody is different in terms of like you can sort of produce the same music, but if you give it to two people, the music will be completely
different, because some people have different intentions of music. People have different, it's very interesting also, because sometimes also you may have what honestly is the best song, and but maybe the time is not right. So you may release it quickly, the time is not right, maybe how you release is not okay, maybe you're not in a good place, or whatever it is. There's so many factors that are not in your control, So that's what I'm saying, always just let go. Letting go is the best thing.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, you are a man of many talents, and we've mentioned a little bit, but I want us to mention a little bit about the book that you wrote. Is writing a book ever part of what you thought that would ever happen?
Actually, yes. I have always wanted to write books since I was a kid, actually. I just didn't know I was going to write kids' books. But
how did this one come about?
Yeah, okay. So this, as I said, the books, the kids' books that I have now. So there are several actually. I've written all the songs in Father Studies are a book. There are 12 songs, I believe there are 12, and every song is a book. And that's how I wrote even the music. I'm telling stories to my son. All those are stories that I'm singing and telling him. And I just felt people would, as personal as it is, people would still relate and connect to it, kids and parents alike. So just to go back, yes, writing is something that I've always wanted to do. I was inshas and compositions were my best things. Used to really thrive actually in those two places. Languages also are my top subjects in terms of how I performed. So Kiswahili, English, French. That's why I continued with French at Alliance. And I remember even when I was, I think, 10 years old, there was a book I was writing. I can't remember. If I find that book, I'll be the happiest human ever. I don't know what it is. I don't remember what I was writing about, but I think I'd written almost 100 pages of it. It was a fictional book. Because I used to love fiction stuff, because just imagination running wild. And now to get, years later to actually writing books for kids is something that's quite surreal, and I'm very proud of myself, at least getting there. And there's more books coming out. And the books I've done, the ones that have been out, 3 books have come out. And all 3 have been best-selling in the country in terms of kids' books. So that's something that I'm really proud of. But also shows that there's a huge gap also in terms of books for kids that are Pan-African, that our kids can relate to.
Yeah, there's the one that I know, it's Written in the Stars.
So Written in the Stars is about... so you know how when you're about to get a child, and it's you and your wife, right? And so I'm talking from a man's perspective. And there's so much that goes around the wife's life when they're pregnant. There's so much support. There's so much, the mothers are there, the friends, the sisters, everyone. It's just our culture. But for the man, who's there for you? Nobody. It's sad. Consciously there isn't enough support that you need. And it's, as I said, it's a life changer. So it would be great sometimes to just have people of your tribe to just be there for you. People have been there before, to just tell you this is how it is. It changes a lot. And in the book, it's all about this. So me and my tribe, so my bandmates, my dad, my brother, all coming and doing I call it a baba shower. There's a baby shower and there's a baba shower. It's just guys coming together to just really, give this guy a lot of, encouragement, tell them there's so many things that happen and for men, as much as we don't talk to each other as much, we really need to, for sure. And that moment of about to get a child, I think is one of the most important moments that if you know your friend is about to get a child, please, just, even if you're not experienced in it, just be there for them. Be close to them. In fact, the first probably 1 year is one of the toughest years as a man and as a mother as well, for both parents. But just for the men, there isn't enough support. There's enough moral support. So that was the whole theme of the book, and it's about naming ceremonies for kids in Africa. So we have different ways of naming kids in all our different cultures. So so Kikuyu's name after the grandparents, for example. Luo's wait until seasons. There's all these animals and all those things. So it was just to show that. And when you read the book to some kids, so they go back to their parents and actually ask them, what's the meaning of my name? Where did my name come from? Because parents may do that, but then they don't actually tell their kids that, oh, actually your name came from this. This is what it means. So just to also keep the culture, going and.
Very, very important part, because nowadays people are naming their names, their kids' names from movie stars.
I don't want to say the name so that it feels. Of course, name your kids whatever you want. That's
that culture is quickly eroding, but good kudos for you for putting that out there. One of my favorite things about you, I think, we can relate about is your health journey. You're very much into health and wellness. There was a cooking show you had.
Yes, COVID baby.
It's been a while. You haven't produced any content yet. The O's Kitchen. So you're mainly focusing on African, like vegan dishes. Are we getting it back?
We are. It's honestly in the works. We are getting it back. It was a COVID baby. And when I say COVID baby, I mean we had all the time in the world. It's something that I'd wanted to do for quite a while, since my shift into wellness started. And that's properly 2018. So when 2020 hit, and I was like, oh, this is perfect time to do this, and I did it. And it's just about, it's about just living alternative ways of eating really healthy. Also, ways that have been there from time immemorial that we have kind of shelved, aside. And the vegan aspect is I'm not even trying to make anyone really turn vegan or anything like that.
But you're a vegan.
I am semi-vegan, as I call myself. So I don't like to put labels also. It's just whatever choice of, eating or health or wellness that you choose, that's your path. No one is better than the other. I always say that. As long as you're doing what is right for you and your body and yourself, that's what matters. So, but I did go cold turkey vegan for 3 years, maybe 4, and then just reintroduced fish because the lure in me could not resist fish. Yeah, but also there's something that happens when you go cold turkey, because sometimes you have to dive in deep to know, okay, this is what it is, and then now you can make a decision and be like, okay, maybe I can pick this again, I can do this again, or you just keep. The more you are in it, the more you in that rabbit hole, the more conscious you are about learning, the more stuff you get, the more you now shape your wellness journey into something that is for you and works for you. Because you can be vegan and very unhealthy. So
is there like the most interesting parts or bit of being a vegan, you would say?
The most interesting part of being a vegan is just how many more options you have. Oh my gosh. And when you're on the surface, you're like, what do you mean? What else can you do with plants? But bro, I kid you not. Like, I always say, okay, look at meat, for instance, right? Beef, chicken, fish, maybe pork. Those 4 things. There's probably only 4 ways of making these meals. Grill, fry, roast, maybe like a stew there. That's it. But with plants, man, I think for almost all those years that I was vegan, I still am, aside from fish. If we were to label them, then fine. I think so many, probably for a period of maybe even 3 months, I would not eat the same thing. I would not repeat the same kind of food. There's so many combinations, variations, so many things. Because once you stop looking at veggies as a side dish. Yeah. I mean, that's guilty stage. Yeah. Once you stop looking at it as a side dish and actually explore even further, and like, oh, there's so many grains. Oh, there's so many types of greens here. There's so many, just things that you see that are available, that are there, but you don't really explore. And hence the start of the cooking show. It was just to show people that there's a lot of variety when it comes to making food, vegan dishes. And variety that is also African. Also in our African culture, we used to eat meat during celebrations. Yeah, you slaughter a goat because someone has been circumcised or someone is getting married or whatever it is, and it's once a month or once a quarter of the month. So what did they used to eat? Veggies and stuff, yeah. And also because times are changing now where lifestyle diseases are, the number one killer is lifestyle diseases, which is mad to think that it's about what you eat is what kills you. That's just as blunt as I can put it out. So once you really, and it's happening now because of, I guess, times are changing. There's a lot of development.
Yeah, people are not moving as often as they used to. The kind of food we used to eat is totally different.
Yeah, we're looking for shortcuts. Plants grow faster than they used to. Yeah. We're coming up with new kinds of plants. We are injecting all these animals with steroids and stuff so that they reproduce quickly. There's so many things, that if you... And that's why I'm saying I don't really push for people to be vegan. I'm like, if where you're getting your meat from, if you know where you're getting your chicken from, and it's organic and stuff, organic guy, then that's what matters. It's like, don't just blindly eat. You can't just blindly eat, because that's what food is. Food is the number one weapon that is used against you, and food is the number one killer, and still food is the number one medicine. So extremes, up to you to decide.
That's true. And as you said, it's up to like an individual to decide, you know what, this is sort of my best path for me to follow. There's a time you guys produced the song, is it Nishike?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was banned at one point.
It was banned, yes.
Some guys in the music and the guys who sort of are the police for content in the country, they were like, this is a bit extreme. Is it true you guys went on like a workout?
We did.
For that particular song?
100% we did.
For how long?
For 4 months. So we were already kind of working out, because once we started going on tour when we were young, remember we started this music very young. I say very young, I don't mean like teenage. We were 21, early 20s, and we started traveling and touring a lot. And you realize that touring is not for the weak. Touring is, you need to be at your optimum. And being at your optimum means you need to take care of your body, because you get mad exhaustion, bro. You were playing every night, traveling every day. And also when you're touring as an upcoming artist, there are things some privileges that you don't have. We used to carry our congas and guitars in trams, on bikes, in Holland, just riding like almost an hour and a half to go to a gig to play, because you don't have the money to get a car, so there's a lot of that. So you can imagine how tired you are. So if you don't eat well, you don't exercise, you actually can't do it. So that's where the journey started. And so when we got to Nishike, we're already into some sort of wellness. So Nishike, when we recorded the song just called for it. It's like, if we want to do this, then we can't appear with our one packs and stuff on the video. It was just a conscious decision that we made. And we did different kind of regimes. So for 3-4 months, so Chimano and I did home workouts. It was called what? P90X. I don't know if guys, millennials would know P90X. So it's this guy who used to do workouts 6 days a week, body weight only, intense for 90 minutes. It was so crazy. I never sweated like that. Even now, I don't think I can handle it. And 3 months later, ripped completely. Bien and Savara, I know were doing boxing at that time. So they used to go to Isili every morning at 5 a.m. Isili. We were 25 years old. And there's so many, it's not even just about Nishike or that video in particular. It's just the mentality that we had at that time is what it was kind of like a transition from boys to men. It was a huge transition mentally, everything. So even when the music was banned for the number of months it was banned for, we just knew that it was a transition that was happening. We were not scared at all. And true to God and the universe, that's exactly what happened. It was a huge transition. That's the first song our first song that was played. Those days it was MTV and Channel O. Our first song, one of the first songs out of Kenya, playing in all those main, stations, across the continent. So we go to awards, and then guys started recognizing, hey, it's Sauti Sol from Kenya. You're like, oh, okay, you guys know us. So it was a huge boost for us. Of course, came with some negative stuff with it, but all in all, it actually was what propelled us like this. It was a huge boost.
Nice. So that's what I was about to ask you, like your interest in training, because you do like training and going to the gym. Did it start there, or was it way earlier?
It started, so as I said earlier, was bits and pieces of it. And then from there on, there was no going back. There's no going back. For several reasons. I mean, first of all, you feel good when you look good, at that age also. And we are prospering. We had just moved house also. We're living together. Remember I said we lived together for, I think, 9 years in 2 different houses. The first house was in Buru, phase 3. And the rent then was 30,000 shillings. We were struggling. But as 4 young men, you're like, how are we struggling to pay this? But then a mental shift, and we moved to a house in Kile that was double the price. But because of a mental shift, and even Nishiki happened at exactly that time, we never ever failed to pay rent, ever. In fact, we had money in abundance. For that age, we were always things were always working. We were so positive, we were manifesting, we were just going for it. And we never lacked. And we just kept, just going up and up and up and up. Yeah, so now with workouts, with training, that's when also because of the mental shift, it's something that we picked up as individuals, and everybody continued working out. So we were training together every day, actually, and that's the time we're recording Live and Die in Africa. So we're training, waking up at 5, training till like 8. Sometimes you go back home and nap for an hour or 2 hours, and then you go on with your work. And then in the afternoon, from like 3 p.m., we were in studio until midnight. Every day for almost a year and a half. And that was the birth of Live and Die in Africa.
Is there like your favorite exercise, like your favorite thing that if you go to the gym, you have to do this workout before you get out?
No, not really. So I'm into CrossFit, which is a combination of many movements, very intense as well. So is that a movement that I really love? There are those that I hate, let me put it that way, but I have to do. Bulgarian squats are just horrible. But in CrossFit, it's like everything is exciting because I love challenging myself. So every movement is something that a normal workout program doesn't have that. And for me, I'm about conquering. So when I'm told you have to do muscle ups, I'm like, damn. So you try, you can't do anything. And then after 1 year, you can do one. I'm like, that's progress. I went into CrossFit not knowing even how to skip, by the way. Because I never used to skip when I was young. Never. Not even one like this. And now there's something called double unders. You do twice like this. One of my favorite movements. And I love it because it's something that I was able to do, I think, a year and a half into training. So it's something that I achieved, you get. So the achievement of these exercises is what excites me with CrossFit.
Yeah, and I think that also indicates like the levels, like the different journey everybody goes through. Because someone like me is a gym bro. Like if I go to the gym, I want to lift the heaviest weight, and try to see like every single day I'm going up and up. Yeah.
And also with working out for me, now that I'm older, and I guess less competitive in a way when it comes to working out, and I'm like, it's 80% mental now. It's for my mental wellness more than anything else. So now it's no. I used to do a lot of competition, just putting myself and just trying to beat everyone in the class. Now I will still beat them, yes, but but it's not in my mind that I'm doing this for my ego. I'm rather doing it for my mental wellness. I'm like, I was able to conquer that. And you go with that mentality into the day, and man, it just changes everything.
That's true. Yeah, and I think the mental part of working out is one of the most underrated aspects of actually going to the gym.
100%. Yeah. And many people don't look at it that way. It's like your body is it's a byproduct of what you do. It doesn't mean not everyone that has a six-pack is fit. And that's what I came to realize even something like CrossFit. Work out with people who are completely ripped, and when we do like crazy, intense endurance kind of exercises, they're nowhere to be seen, So it's like just about how good you feel inside and up here.
So let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite things, entrepreneurship. So you guys are perhaps like one of the creatives in Kenya that actually come up with companies. Let's say you have like a group of, how we say group of schools, you have like a group of companies. You have Soul Fest, you have Soul Generation recording label. So what was the thinking behind it, and how did you guys come to the realization, I think we can venture into business and make something out of it?
It takes me back. So when we started out, we were making some money, and also remember, we are all coming from a place of lack, right? We all grew up in very, I'd say, low-income families and environments. So where your mind kind of your subconscious has a limit. And for you to surpass that, you have to really work harder. So we used to earn money and immediately split. So we have, let's say, we don't even look for gigs, first of all. Gigs come. And we have like a 30K paying gig, and we split it, the four of us. So let's say this month we have one gig. Next month we have three. So the month January we have one gig, right? 30K. The other month we get 100K. So we split, equally. We don't care for investing. We don't care for anything else. The other month you have nothing, so you don't have money. So it's like, how do we find a balance? So we just started by saying, let's pay ourselves salaries. Let's start with that. Let's register a bank account. We didn't even have a bank account. We're all putting in Chimano's bank account, for example. We didn't have like a company bank account. So we opened a company, a limited company. And we were saying, okay, let's put all the money that comes in there, just basic stuff. And we started with a salary, I think, of, was it 20K? Just salary, just basic salary. So, every month at least you have something. And once the money is in the bank account, you can either invest it back, buy some equipment, whatever it is, further yourself, or just make the music, invest more into the music. And then now it just keeps growing. So, of course, when you do that, when you get yourself into that space, you start learning more. You start being with people business mentors who advise you, go this way, go this way. So we even we applied for a Stanford Seed program. That was a business program that they pick, and we were the first entertainment company to be picked. This is in 2017, I guess, yeah. And that shaped everything, bro. Everything. It was like a 6-month program. And there's even a post program where you now have a coach who's with you for another 6 months to just shape up your business properly, all the business ventures you're getting into, the organogram, all those things. We have canvas models, all those things. And that completely helped us. And that was now the birth of so many of these companies that we have now. The record label, the festival, Soul Kids, some that we started that failed, because there'll be many of those also. It's not all success. There's maybe like 3 companies that we started that did not do well, but of course it doesn't mean that they didn't do anything to us. We actually learned a lot from those failures. So it's with business, and once you, especially in the entertainment industry, once you really look at it as a business, then it starts making sense to you. And as you grow older, you're like, okay, you even get more knowledge, more information on how to really better your businesses. You attract more kind of people from even the corporate world who are very interested in this side of the world, business side. We have a board of directors, for example, things like those. That none of them are even in the music industry, because it's a business.
Yeah, you have to be ruthless, actually, for you to make it. So talk us a little bit about the future of Soulfest. Because some guys who attended this year, they expected you guys to perform, like full-on board perform, but guys were surprised.
Trust me, we wanted to. We really wanted to. Even what you saw was more than we had planned before. Yeah, so Soulfest is like it's a festival that is something that we came about that was to celebrate African music, right? And do it in a way that's very world class. And we didn't want it to be centered around Sauti Sol. It's not about us. Yes, Soulfest is not a Sauti Sol yearly concert. It's just about beautiful African music. And the past 2 years, we've only done Kenyan acts. So 2023, of course, was now just before we took our hiatus. It was literally it was what led us into now taking a break. And that we did that 3.5-hour show, nonstop, crazy, intense. And then after that, we just wanted it to be about good quality Kenyan music. So this year, last year we really wanted it to be just about Kenya, because Kenyan music has been really buzzing. It's at a place that it hasn't been in a long time. This reminds me now of the Ogopa era, where you were so proud to have a Kenyan CD. You're like, yeah, nikona ma local, tuende tukasikize, it was buzzing. And that, we haven't had that for a while. And now it's there, and the Gen Zs are running the show. And we just wanted to now show that side of what's happening, and to just be the kind of the godfathers and just tell guys, yeah, this is what is happening. We want to put Kenyan music on the map, and want to do it like a proper production. And even all the artists that were involved were all pleasantly surprised at how intense, how intense even all the things that we put them through. They're going for dance classes, they're going for voice classes, they're going for, we dressed them up, and they're only on stage for 10 minutes. Each artist was on stage for 10 minutes only. But the work they did was, I don't know how many hours. Crazy hours. They were not prepared for it. But when they saw it eventually, like, oh, we see what you guys are doing. So Soulfest is just about celebrating quality Kenyan African music. That's what it's about. So it's not about Sauti Sol. Yes, we're behind it. We'll always be there in one way or the other. Like, I directed all the music, Chimano did most of the styling, things like those. And then we're like, okay, we'll just give a gift to the people and we'll perform. We didn't want to perform because remember, we're on a break. We are on a break, but it seems the fans don't want to hear any of that story. And we're on stage because the thing is, it was a production where it was a journey of all these artists of Kenyan music from the 60s up until now. So it's not fair for even all these artists to be there 10 minutes, and then you want Sauti Sol for 2 hours. It doesn't make sense, Yeah, so it's not a Sauti Sol concert. It's a Kenyan concert.
Yeah, I think when you put it that way, then it makes sense.
And we did communicate that. So
I guess not all the guys got the memo for the Soulfest. Okay. So at least now that one is clear, so fans know exactly what to expect. So I think we've talked a lot about some of the things that you've been doing. I mean, you're a producer, you're a singer, you're a writer. What do you think is the legacy you want to leave behind when all is said and done?
The legacy I'd love to leave behind is just to really elevate, I think, the taste buds of our audience. To just be known as the guy who really changed the music scene in many ways, be it through Sauti Sol, be it as myself, to just bring a really quality side of musicianship into the arts, because that's what lasts forever. That's what takes years and years of listening, and people don't get tired of it. People go back proudly and say, yeah, there was this music that's so great, So not a short shelf life, 2 months kind of music, which is what we are accustomed to and used to. Not that it's something that's bad, but we can do better for sure, Yeah.
One of my favorite songs I think I usually go to is Isabella. I think it's like timeless song. Yes. So 20 years from now, I think guys will still be listening.
Exactly. And even now, even to artists, like even now when we perform, it's the old songs that people want, not even the new ones. Yeah. And it's Gen Zs that are asking for it. Just hear the crowd coming home, Isabella. I'm like, how do you guys even know that music? Yeah.
Okay. So before we finish, I have to ask you something about farming.
Yes.
Have you ever been involved yourself in farming before?
I'm just starting to be honest. I really haven't. But now me and my dad are getting into farming, because also the low community is not really, we're not deep into like proper full-on farming. It's either the sugarcane and maize, and that's just about it. With big acres of land. But now, my dad is actually really getting into planting macadamia, planting a lot of fruits as well. I get a lot of seedlings he sends me to like Caratina, for example, to get him stuff, avocados, and all those things. And I go home and, I'm just getting into it now, to be honest. Yeah. So it's not something that I was getting into. I just recently got myself into. Yeah.
Yeah. it's a very interesting journey, I think. And as people get older, they always tend to go back to farming for some weird reason. I think it's more of a therapeutic kind of thing that you always do. You can do as long as you have like an interest, a small interest to it. Yeah. So really interesting, and looking forward to see how that journey.
Oh yeah. There's some products are coming out soon out of farming as well, because also that's my wellness side is really something that I can't ignore, and I love to inspire people also in that side. So also there's products that are coming from farming.
Okay. So guys should be expecting some.
Yes. And already started. We have still need to fine tune it, but we had peanut butter, organic peanut butter that's really amazing. So just small things like those. We'll see. Also, just for my parents to just have something that they love to do, and they can see the fruits. They're like, okay, so literally the fruits. Like, once you do this, you can get this and this. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Looking forward to that. So this is a part of the segment that I call rapid fire questions. Right. So what I've done, I've prepared 10 questions for you. So the idea is for guys to get to know you at least. If something didn't come up during the podcast, they can hold on to. So are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, so the first question is, what was the first career you dreamt of having as a kid?
I dreamt of having as a kid the medicine, doctor.
Doctor. Yeah. Second question, if you had to eat only one meal for the rest of your life, what will it be?
Fruits.
So the third question, what's your favorite all-time Sauti Sol song?
Probably the first album. There's two. I'm trying to say which one. Second album, Malkia. It's called Malkia, yeah.
So the fourth question, what is the best concert you've ever performed?
Oh my goodness. It has to be Goma. Yes, because we were just pleasantly surprised by the madness of that place and just how much people love our music. And this is in 2016. Yeah.
Fifth question, what's your favorite Africa travel destination?
Right now, I'd say Kampala.
Sixth question, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, The Power of Now.
Seventh question, what is one instrument you wish you could play?
Trumpets.
Eighth, what's the one healthy habit you swear by?
Taking my herbs.
Okay, ninth question, what quote resonates with you most?
You are who you think you are.
And the last one, knowing what you know now, what advice could you give to your 18-year-old self?
You are doing great and you are doing great. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for making time for the podcast.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being open, like sharing your journey all through. I guess they can find all your social media handles, Fancy Fingers, right?
Yes. Across all platforms, Fancy Fingers, music, content, everything is on there. Yeah.
2025, I guess you have more content in line as well.
Oh, yeah, too much. Too much, actually, yeah.
All right. So till the next podcast, remember to be organic. Cheers.